Hey everyone, and welcome to the screencast for Sunday the 14th of October. Schedule for the week. On Monday there is a learning supports meeting at 8:15. The BLT will be meeting at 3:30 after the buses, and the Flex Furniture Committee will be meeting at 3:30 in the Media Center. So a few different meetings going on there. Also know that on Monday and Tuesday the book fair previews are taking place. You have a link there to the schedules for that. And also on Tuesday, the specialist schedule is paused for the mile run. So please remember your students to bring tennis shoes for the mile run on Tuesday. PTA will be providing food, so that's good for conferences. And conferences, as we know, are from 3:30 to 8. No school Wednesday for conferences. You see the light replacement work. That's the lights that are being replaced throughout our whole school. So they will be working on that a little bit this week too. And Thursday and Friday, a well-deserved break for MEA. Hey, the readathon. Just a quick thank you to everybody that helped with that. I know that can be a little disrupting to be collecting money and encouraging that, and very different schedule on Friday, but it was a great time. We collected over $10,000 for our PTA, and my highlight was the reading buddies in the gym in the afternoon. That was amazing to see our whole school reading and doing it very well. So I think we all have to be a little flexible on that. So thank you for everybody making that a go, and especially thank you to John Polhill for our guest speaker that came in, Paul Allen. That was pretty exciting too. Family fun night, those of you that were able to make it, I was amazed by the amount of kids that we had there. A very fun night, and once again, our PTA came through for that. A good time had by all. Moving on, conferences, getting off on the right foot here. We got to start with food. We know that our PTA is providing us food, so that is greatly appreciated. One of our goals this year is attendance, and our goal is to decrease the amount of students missing more than 8 days of school. So just a quick reminder, we're much more likely to make a year's worth of growth or be on grade level for reading if we are absent no more than 8 days. So one thing I'm going to ask you to do is with each student to fill out this sheet here. And I will be putting this in your box. It's the name of the student and then just saying how many days they've been absent, just to talk with them about that. We have one in English here. We also have one going on down here in Spanish. So how are you going to know how many days they've been absent? I'm going to print that off and give you your class list for absences. So all you have to do is put the name on there and write in the amount of absences. So I know this came from Normandale Hills. They did this last year, and it's something I think that would be good for us to do too. So be looking for that. It shouldn't be a lot of work, but it also stresses to our families how important attendance is. So anything you can do to help with that and to get that message out, I really would appreciate. All right, moving on. Last Thursday, principals and district level leadership met, and that happens about 4 times a year where we really go over some different things. And one thing that was really stressed by our superintendent was enrollment. I thought there's some interesting points. If you look over here on the left side, 5-year enrollment at some of the schools, districts rather that touch us. Burnsville, Eden Prairie are down. Edina, Richfield are about the same, and Bloomington's grown over the last 5 years by about 250 people. If you look district-wide, 70% of the metro districts are losing enrollment, 30% are stable, and 85% are making cuts. Bloomington is one of the 9 staying stable. So that's just something that I think is important to point out for our district. So what's the reason for losing enrollment district-wide and metro-wide, I should say? Competition. Charter schools, home schools, and non-public. Home schools, you can see there's only about 1%. The big thing is charter schools. Over on this side, charter schools have increased by about 22% in enrollment, which has really affected us. One of our charter schools in our area is the Success Academy, which was previously called Summit. Has about 130 kids with a waiting list, and focus is STEM. And I believe it's really focusing on our Somali students. So that's just something for us to know. Open enrollment, some in and some out. Just know that we do get some students from other districts and we also lose some to other districts. Our goal in Bloomington is always to be above 10,000 students. We're right around that point now, a little bit above 10,000. And that's our goal and what helps us continue on a financially stable ground. So some of the other things we talked about, we looked at our kindergarten capture rate. 10 years ago, about 80% of kindergartners in Bloomington went to Bloomington Public School. Currently, there's about 70%. So definitely our rate of kinders that are starting have gone down. I always am a firm believer if we get them in the school, they will stay. This is not only a challenge for us, it's definitely a challenge for other districts around us too. One other interesting piece, we have the second highest median rate of age compared to districts around us, meaning we have a lot of houses with older people living there. At some point that's going to turn over, and the thought is going to be we'll have younger families again, which can only help us. So there's a lot of different factors that go into enrollment, but these are just a few of those things that we talked about and things to be aware of. So the question is, what are we doing to keep our enrollment high, to be able to be competitive with charter schools? What innovation and marketing are we doing in Bloomington? What are we doing? There's been a number of things that have happened over the last few years that help us attract and retain people. Pathways to Graduation was started in 2011. That's one thing. We have really strong early childhood programming. That's something that we get a lot of families into our public schools through that, and then they stay with us. Our gifted programming, Dimensions Academy, etc., that's something that attracts and retains people. Tech and Safety Referendum, and now our Personal Growth Plan, the PGP, which really affects more of our secondary than us. Naviance is another way of adding to the PGP. It's a quote, is a GPS system for students, teachers, and families to help students make the best plans going forward. Other things on the right side here, SLEDs. That's kind of hard for me to totally understand, but it was shared that what they're really doing is looking at our students after they graduate from high school and figuring out what the earnings of all of those students afterwards, whether they go to college or not. For some reason, MDE didn't always share that information. I think we're the only district that has access to that, so we can really look at what's happening to our students and how they're doing after high school. Flexible furniture, another way of just looking at things changing and trying to be innovative and change with the times. Smart boards to smart TVs. Online learning I thought was interesting. And really we are looking at as a district at reducing the cost of college. The quote was test drive in college more so than in the past. 43% are taking college credits now. And some students are graduating with 60 plus credits, which really reduces the cost of college. These are all different things, but what they're pointing to is we're trying our best to innovate and to be changing with the time and to be marketing our successes. Les was really big on saying, if we have ideas, to make sure that we're sharing those with him, because there is a lot of competition out there and we are doing a lot of amazing things. We need to make sure that message gets out there and that we continue to innovate as we move forward. So just some interesting things to think about that I wanted to share with you. Hey, just a little bit more on attendance. Our goal is to decrease the amount of students missing more than 8 days of school. Last year compared to this year, we're at about the same point of 97% of our 97% daily attendance. The hard part is always targeting those individual kids that are starting to go up. So this is just one other piece I'm trying to look at comparing last year to this year, and we'll keep working on that. Real quickly, a little bit more on targeted services. We are still looking for a coordinator. I know that I have a couple teachers that are interested. This is really something that helps our students move forward and gives them a little extra push. If you are willing to work it, you do get paid. So talk to me if that's something that you would like to be a part of. I would really like to see that up and going again this year. We haven't been able to do that for the last few years because of not getting enough staff to do that. So that's all I have. I hope you had a great weekend, and see you all on Monday. Take care, everyone.